Like the thunder in the sky, keep on rolling.
Hey guys, I'm reviewing a bit of Decathlon bikepacking kit today, their Riverside saddle harness. It fits underneath the saddle of your road bike, gravel bike, or mountain bike and provides you with up to 15 liters of storage. The harness attaches to your seat post and the bottom of your saddle, and the custom dry bag fit right in, and you get straps and webbing on top of the harness to fix some extra stuff to the top if you want. Now, it's good to know that Decathlon actually has two bikepacking lineups. This one fits into the Riverside range along with a host of other bags that all go nicely together, and they are all a bit more sturdy, a bit chunkier, more expensive. The other lineup has looser fabrics, it's a bit cheaper, a bit lighter, but only the Riverside lineup has one of these bum bag, ass rocket style models, so if that's what you're looking for, this is your only choice right now. Now, as you may know, Decathlon is a company that designs and sells an amazing number of different products, some of them at crazy volumes. That's not the case, I think, with these bags. I looked for them in several Decathlon stores, but they weren't on display anywhere, and I'm guessing bikepacking is still pretty niche. So I bought it sight unseen, but thanks to this video, you don't have to. And that's probably a good thing, because honestly, for a Decathlon product, this is not cheap. The harness and the dry bag together are 75 euros. That is pretty close to a discounted A-brand saddlebag. If you compare it to, say, the bikepacking lineup of VD, it's pretty much the same. Maybe not the official prices, but it's an easier brand to find at a discount. So I was expecting a high-end product here, and that is indeed what I got. First impressions, I would say that this is custom, chunky, and maybe a bit complicated. Custom because you can tell that these straps are not off-the-shelf parts. No repurposed cheap plastic clips and stuff here. It all feels made to measure without cutting corners. It also looks quite chunky. It's a bit heavier than other comparable systems, but it holds everything in place like a pro. It's kind of like the linebacker of bikepacking bags. The basic setup is very comparable to most systems like this. You have a holster that you attach to your bike and that stays on the bike, and a cone-shaped waterproof bag with a roll closure that fits neatly in the holster and that you can fill with stuff and take out when you need something or when you get to camp. As usual, it's a bit of a weird shape, but it does work well for clothes, for sleeping bags, small tidbits. It's also a great fit for my tent. It's rated to carry up to 8 kilograms, 17.5 pounds, and it does feel up to that, though if you have a full bikepacking setup, I would probably advise storing your heavier items a bit lower to the ground, lower your center of gravity so you don't end up in a ditch the first time you lose your balance. Attaching and detaching it underneath the saddle does take a bit of practice. It's not that difficult, and of course you don't have to do it very often while backpacking, since you can just take out the dry bag when you get to camp. So it may not be cheap, but it's definitely a solid product that works as advertised, and I would mostly recommend it. However, I have stopped actively using it for 3 reasons. The first of which is that I invested in a tail fin system that lets me attach pannier bags to my road bike, and that features an integrated bag that's about the same size as this bag. Whole different system, different price range, so probably not super relevant to you who's watching this review, but it does mean that I don't need a traditional saddlebag anymore. The other reason is that with heavier use, the Decathlon bag did start rubbing me the wrong way. Like I said, it's a fairly wide, chunky thing, and that's also true for the part that attaches to the seat post. It sticks out at the size just a little, definitely not more than a few millimeters, and honestly, I hadn't even noticed it the first couple of weeks since I only use it every now and then. But when you start doing longer and more frequent rides, all that chafing adds up, and I was getting red spots under my bibs. This was after, I think, 4 40-kilometer rides in 4 days, so I imagine taking this bikepacking might lead to issues. Now, granted, this is very strongly influenced by the width and the position of your saddle, by your thighs. Decathlon sells this under their Riverside brand, and their Riverside's bikes all have saddles that will work, no doubt, work very well with this bag. They're a bit wider. My bike is a Van Rysel EDR-CF, more of an endurance road bike than a typical bikepacking bike. So this might not be an issue for you depending on the saddle that you're rocking, but I do want to mention it because I figured a lot of gravel bikes and other typical bike packing bags will also have narrow saddles, and those typical Riverside touring bikes with a rear rack and 100 different mounting points, well, they don't really need a product like this. Lastly, while my impression overall is one of quality and sturdiness, I did have one situation where the dry bag fell off the bike, and let me start by saying that it was definitely my own fault because I didn't put the straps through the loops like I should have. But when I picked up the dry bag from the ground, there was a tear in it. It might have fallen on a very sharp object, might have just been bad luck, and the fall itself was definitely user error, but I hadn't expected this kind of damage from a single fall. Make of that what you will. So there you have it, the Riverside saddle harness. Not perfect, but pretty darn good. If you're into bikepacking and your bike doesn't already have 100 mountain points, do give it a shot, and as always, happy trails.